Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon for a presentation about my PhD research at Rotterdam School of Management. The topic of my research is embracing the complexity or wickedness of our collective verbinding. For the Dutch sitting in the group, they of course know the term verbinding. Roughly translated to English, it's interconnectedness and interconnections. The reason I picked it is that I'm a Dutchified Iranian, so I wanted to show off that I know some good words in Dutch, but also because the data that I'm analyzing is from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Dutch organizations who have received funding from the ministry, and that contextualizes the scope of my research. I am basically looking at the ways of upscaling or enhancing the impact of cross-sector partnerships of civil society organizations to accelerate the collective progress towards 2030 agenda. SDGs are about wicked problems. I have two of them at home, and I'm very proud of them. They are very passionate about environment. And every time when we go out and they see garbage in the street, they get really upset and say, oh, we should clean it up. And they really take action and try to clean up wherever we go, to the park or to the forest in our surrounding. My partner and I are quite devoted to this subject. We are environmentalists, but we both are also actively trying to contribute to achievement of SDGs in our own way. Wicked problems are quite difficult to define. Every single goal on SDGs are a wicked problem. And we can also look at them as problems or opportunities. And I prefer to take the latter and look at them as opportunities and changing the way that we are working. I call it a dream, and I have a dream that we can achieve SDGs. And I want to live in a world with personal freedom of choice, equality of opportunity, and the ability for people to thrive. And I strongly believe that this needs to be balanced with the responsibility to contribute to the collective good. The same as the fact that we have the right to enjoy this world, we have the responsibility also to protect it and look after it, basically. And that's why I decided to become a Nexus strategist. And through this role, I bring back balance and harmony to the context in which we operate and apply change leadership to build coalition of unlikely allies to collectively develop a pragmatic strategy. I want to emphasize on the element of unlikely allies because we have moved towards a direction that we only work with like-minded people. And this is where we have ended up at the moment. And if we want to really bring about a change, we really need to work with people who do not think like us, do not act like us, and do not look like us. And that would be bringing on board groups that actually can make a change, but have been excluded for whatever reason. And we also need to have a very pragmatic strategy, not an idealist one. On paper, a lot of things looks great, but they are not implementable. So I call myself a pragmatic idealist, and I would advocate for that in every step of my work and life. That's why I believe harmony and progress together will bring about positive change and positive impact. When we come to SDGs, there are reports, numerous of them, that the progress has been very slow. The United Nations Economic and Social Council report in May 2019 clearly stated that the global response is not ambitious enough to guarantee the achievement of SDGs by 2030. And therefore, we need a series of cross-cutting areas. Action is needed that would dramatically accelerate the progress. And this acceleration requires political leadership, urgent and scalable multi-stakeholder approach. And that's what I have been doing with my research. I have formulated the following research question to achieve, to answer what I've been looking for. And the question is, how can we increase the impact, influence, or the effect of civil society organizations in enhancing or upscaling the impact of cross-sector partnerships to accelerate the collective progress towards achieving sustainable development goals? In my research, I've developed 4 interrelated models on how to answer this question, but for here, I've decided to talk to you about 3 steps that I believe we need to go through in order to find the answer to this question. The first one, which I presented in the previous round, is about understanding where we are, why we are doing SDGs, and how we are doing it. And I divide this step into 3 phases: the audit on where we are, what are we doing, the setup, who is going to do this with us, the coalition of unlikely allies, and that pragmatic strategy that we need to develop to become, that becomes our roadmap. For you, I have the second phase, and I call it implementing. Now we know the roadmap, but who is going to implement this? And that's where I believe that unlikely coalition of unlikely allies comes to play again. The stakeholders who are within our partnership, but also outside our partnership. It's very important that, for instance, if we have a project at the local level, the local municipality is engaged, or the local businesses are engaged. And that's why it's very important for the implementation of our project, we have stakeholders involved at every level. Then there is a part about alignment. It could be the case that several initiatives are going on at the same time, and they can be countering each other's effect. And that's why we need to align. And going back to the first step of understanding, that audit would give us the information on who is working on what project, on what subject, and how can we align it together. This alignment is very important because, again, from a personal experience, I've seen that we implement a project from one organization, and at the same time, another organization is coming in and doing not necessarily 100% opposite, but quite counter the first project and basically eliminates the results of the previous one. That's why, again, alignment is of great importance. And the next step on the implementing phase is achievements and celebrating them. What happens is that there are a lot of achievements through the work that we do in SDGs. Either they are over-exaggerated or they are not presented. And we need to find a balance between that and keep talking about what we have achieved. And it's very important to share this with our stakeholders, with our partners, and keep each other posted. And this would give us the energy to move forward. 15 years for achieving SDGs is a very long term, and we need to be reminded of what we have, where we have been, and what we have achieved at every single moment. So this gives us the boost to move to the next level, which is scaling.